Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Noreen Farrell, and I am the Executive Director of Equal Rights Advocates and the very, very proud co-chair, along with my colleague Jessica Stender, of the Stronger California Advocates Network. And we're welcoming you from across the state, maybe across the country. Hopefully Congress is listening to how we have to get it done, to our 2022 legislator reception, and it's a time for us to celebrate what we accomplished last year, but also just to take stock to what's ahead. What do we have to do? Because as we know, California leads the way for the rest of the country. And for those of you who don't know what Stronger California is, I'll just say that it was born from really a moment like this, following the Great Recession, when it was service sectors, retail sectors dominated by women workers that were actually buoying up the entire economy of our state. And it's not unlike a moment like right now when everyone across the state and country are realizing that women are essential. They have always been essential to our economy. And by women, we mean also gender nonconforming, non-binary women, and that we really can lift up the rest of the nation by leading on legislative reform. And so we decided we would get together. We would really try to meet the needs of people that are often simultaneous, and work across our various sectors that had been previously siloed to build a comprehensive women's economic security agenda, and really taking an incredibly bold approach to accelerate the pace of change. And I think we have our pillars on our slideshow here. Just so folks know, we are ensuring fair pay, job opportunities, and workplace justice. We are expanding access to affordable, quality early childhood care and education. We are supporting family-friendly workplaces, and we're building economic security by addressing poverty and building assets of families across the state. And I will say, as we come out of COVID, as we come out of the first wave of COVID, these core pillars of economic security have stood the test of time, and they are more important than ever. And we really are so successful because of our incredibly strong partnership with the Legislative Women's Caucus. And my colleague Jessica will be introducing some folks from the caucus and other progressive legislators, but also because of who makes up our network. There are over 75 organizations that make up our network. We're going to get to some of those. If we go back, I'll just show you some of our past wins of our network since 2014. Strongest equal pay law in the country, raising the minimum wage, billions of dollars in budget allocations for childcare, expanded access to paid leave, lactation accommodation, increasing the amount that people can get through our paid family leave laws. And we've been combating poverty, repealing the maximum family grant rule, predatory lending protections and other protections that are really building up people's ability to save and to build that nest egg for moments just like this pandemic presented. So I'm really proud of these wins. They couldn't have happened without all of the great lobbying and community education and smart advocacy from so many of our partners. Here's a couple of pictures. We have some domestic workers front and center at one of our rallies, Si Se Puede. And we have, I think these are pictures of some of our pillar leads. Each of the pillars of our agenda are led by advocates and coalitions who've been doing this work for decades. And then the final picture is, just us, causing, a ruckus in front of the Capitol, as we're known to do. And I want to show this slide of our incredible partners. And I would love for us to just leave it up there for a moment. This is co-led, co-founded by organizations, as I said, who've been doing this for decades and doing it so well, and really just incredible leaders in the movement. And so we're so fortunate to have all of these folks working, sponsoring bills, working with legislators individually and in community with Stronger California. We also have a bunch of organizations that are not at our roundtable, but supporting our efforts in a lot of different ways. When we need a call to action, we need help on the floor vote. So I just want to do a shout out to all of them and thank them. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jessica Stender, who is ERA's Deputy Legal Counsel and Policy Director and co-chair of the campaign, and someone who's really on the ground working so hard with all of you to make these successes happen. So Jess, handing it over to you.
Great. Well, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here in the midst of these amazing legislative champions and colleagues and Stronger California advocates. Thank you, everyone, for being here. So I just want to note that we really couldn't achieve these really important and critical victories, policy victories for women, families, and people across genders in California without our amazing legislative champions. So we depend on the support of legislators, not only leading our important bills, but also supporting them. And so I just want to give a really big shout out to the 2021 legislative champions. You see them here. We've been celebrating them on social media. They're up on our website, and I hope you'll check them out because they deserve a lot of credit in helping to get some of the important policies that we're celebrating here today. Our wins from last year on behalf of women and families, they were critical to making those happen. So they're listed here. You can see them, and we just want to give them a huge thank you for supporting our issues. I also want to recognize the incredible partnership. There are Senate champions. I also want to recognize the incredible partnership of the Legislative Women's Caucus. Since we came together in 2015 as the Stronger California Advocates Network, we have worked in partnership in a variety of ways with the caucus. Caucus members have been leading the efforts on the policies that you will hear about today and the wins that we've had in the past, and have really been the ones to forge ahead and create change that not only has helped millions of Californians, but has really accelerated change in other states where other states follow our lead. So I want to give a huge thank you to the caucus and its staff and the membership of the caucus for all of their amazing work over the years and partnership that's let us support you in this important work. And with that, I'm going to introduce our very first speaker. It's a real honor to introduce the current chair of the Legislative Women's Caucus, Assemblymember Cristina Garcia. She has served in the state assembly since she was elected in 2012. She represents the 58th Assembly District. She has been referred to as a force of nature, which I can attest to from having worked on bills with her and sat next to her in committee hearings and supported her efforts through our organization and through Stronger California. So it's a real honor to introduce you today, Assemblymember Garcia.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I was having a flashback to 2015 when Stronger California started, and we're all stronger together, and the Women's Caucus is stronger because of this partnership, and it's been integral in elevating women and families across the state. So I want to start off by thanking you for that unwavering commitment to our families and our women in the state. And it's exciting to be here in 2022, 7 years later, to see the growth and the progress for Stronger California as a group and all of the network that you have here and for the caucus as well. I also want to thank my colleagues who are going to be here. I know we're going to have our vice chair for the caucus, Senator Skinner, our former chair, another advocate, Senator Leyva, former vice chair, Senator Limon. And then we have other amazing leaders in the assembly, Eloise Reyes, Assembly Member Eloise Reyes, and Assembly Member Buffy Wicks. Want to recognize them. They're part of 38 assembly members and 5 constitutional officers that make up our caucus, and a representative, which is the dynamic leadership we have in our caucus. Eloise is our first Latina majority leader out there. And so really proud to be able to serve with her and see her in action out there representing us well out there. The Women's Caucus has had the luxury of working with this network on a number of bills. Just like you, we have priorities and pillars that match up and a lot of lines with the work that you're doing. And so we had over 60% of our priority bills get signed last year, and we were able to have a lot of successes in the budget, as you mentioned, securing over $1 billion continuous appropriation and a number of one-time dollars for early childhood education out there. So really proud about that work. You talked about taking stock about the work that still has to do. And so there's plenty of work to be done in this space, including how we implement and use all these dollars properly to actually shore up this industry that's mostly women and women of color out there, but also key to making sure that we could all go to work out there as well. We know that in the pandemic, the women and women of color in particular have left and have not returned to the workforce. And so as we're looking forward, moving forward, we are looking at how do we take our weight of the caucus to elevate and push in that area as well, in addition to our traditional pillars that we have out there. Women are much more likely to be working low-paying jobs, exacerbating the income inequality and places squarely on the population out there. And so something that we are really focused on for this year as well. And so I'm lucky to be the chair of the Women's Caucus and be in the leadership once again. I love this work. I love where the caucus is at. This is the biggest we've ever been, and excited for that as well, and excited to grow our caucus further in the next cycle. I was asked to talk a little bit about my menstrual equity bills. And so I've been called a lot of things. And so I've given myself the title of the period princess, because why shouldn't I have a little bit of fun with the work I've been doing? But in 2015, I introduced the first bill to get rid of the tax on menstrual products. And it's been a long fight. It was until this last year in the budget that it was permanently axed. And so really proud about that work as well. Have worked to ensure that we have ingredient disclosure for our menstrual products, including our underwears and cups and so forth. And so glad that that's in law. That's also in law in New York. Had worked on expanding access. And so we started off with Title I schools with AB 10 that ensured that half of the bathrooms in Title I middle schools and high schools would have menstrual products. But the goal was always to have these products in all the bathrooms, just like we have toilet paper out there. You shouldn't have to be deterred by your biology when it's the prices you're not prepared, and these products should be readily available. And so really excited that this last year we passed AB 367, and really appreciative for the Stronger California support in all this work all this year, but especially this last bill, AB 367, that requires all public schools serving students grades 6 through 12 and our Cal States and the community colleges to have these products in the bathrooms, and further removing the barrier students have to having their period out there. And so we don't get to tell the UCs what to do, but we did recommend to them as well, and glad that that bill got signed. When I got started on menstrual equity, a lot of names and a lot of fun was made of me. And I was told that things were too expensive, or I had to figure out how to find the dollars because we needed to continue to balance the budget on someone born with the uterus. And so really proud of the work we've been able to do in the menstrual equity discussion. And I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge all the young individuals who have been our strongest advocates in this space and have really turned this movement into something new and something that continues to teach me new things along the way. And so just thank you to all of you for the support to get that bill across the finish line. And excited for this year. I'm not sure exactly what the period princess is going to work on yet, trying to figure that out, but excited for this year for myself, but also for the Women's Caucus and for Stronger California Network. And just thank you for having us.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Garcia, for your leadership on menstrual equity and so many other things, and really helping to make clear the connection between menstrual equity and economic security for women and girls and people across genders who require those products. So thank you for your leadership. We're proud to support those efforts. I am now honored to introduce the Vice Chair of the Legislative Women's Caucus, Senator Skinner, also a force of nature in her own way. All of our Legislative Women's Caucus members are. Senator Skinner represents the 9th Senate District. She is a social justice advocate, lifelong advocate, and a real trailblazer. She was first elected to the Senate in 2016 after completing 3 terms in the Assembly, and is, as I said, the Vice Chair of the caucus. And we are very excited to have her here today. So Senator Skinner, I'll turn it to you.
Thanks so much, Jessica, Noreen, Equal Rights Advocates, and everyone is gathered today, and very happy to be following my period princess, Chair of the Women's Caucus, Cristina Garcia. I want to thank Stronger California Advocates Network for your very powerful women-centered coalition, and for working comprehensively to fight for economic security and to for women and children and families, but also to address the challenges that women and families face in their work to achieve economic stability. And I'm very glad that your approach got Stronger California, the network, to support the bill I carried last year, School Meals for All. And with your help and a very wide coalition backing that, we achieved a very important victory. California became this year the first state to provide universal free school meals. And now every K through 12 child who goes to a public school in California gets 2 free school meals. They do not have to have the lunch shame game to prove some income or else other. They can get their meals if they choose to. And we know that so many of our children live in women-headed households. So school meals is an economic lifeline to women and their children. This year is going to bring us a lot more opportunities to take bold action for economic justice. You know, I chair the Senate Budget Committee, and the Senate's value statement so far for the budget has been or is putting California's wealth to work for an equitable economy. So I look forward to continuing a partnership with you and to more great work for achieving economic justice, especially for women. And thanks so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Senator Skinner. So my name is Jenya Cassidy, and I'm the director of the California Work and Family Coalition, and we are a proud member of the Stronger California Network. The coalition is a statewide alliance of community organizations, unions, nonprofits, and individuals, and we're dedicated to all the kinds of policies that help families thrive. We believe in a world that, to come, that where all people have the time and resources to care for themselves and their families and to just lead happy and meaningful lives. So I am really thrilled to be introducing our next speaker, who has been fighting for these same values that we support in the coalition since she entered the legislature in 2018. And Assemblymember Buffy Wicks, who's the Assembly member for AB 15, and also is an author of some of the most important bills to us that are, really help protect and support all families. So Assemblymember Wicks, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much for having me. And I just want to thank everyone so much for putting their shoulder to the wheel on all of this really important legislation, the bills I've been working on, plus all the ones my colleagues have mentioned. And I'm in my car, I'm not driving. So everything is safe. Don't worry. I'm not driving off the road. I pulled over, but just appreciate y'all letting me be on today. As mentioned, I've been working on bills with regard to ensuring that our caregivers aren't discriminated against, that our moms and dads and our working families have the ability to access paid leave programs, that we expand what the definition of family means, that in this sort of modern era, it's not just a mom and a dad and kids, it's more expansive than that, that our laws actually reflect that. That's the Chosen Family Bill that I've been working with you all on. And also to ensure that caregivers are discriminated against. Often parents are overlooked for promotions and hiring because employers just say, oh, you know what, you got little kids, it's going to be a headache. I don't want to have to deal with it. And we want to make sure we end that, and I come to this work as a parent. I have a sorry, can you guys hear me okay? I have I just had a little message pop up. I have a 1.5-year-old and I have a 5-year-old, and I know what it's like to have to hustle to figure out how you pick them up, how you deal with things that are unanticipated. I didn't have aftercare for the first 2 weeks because of COVID. And so juggling all those responsibilities, and I'm lucky, I have the ability to maneuver my schedule around, and so many of our working families don't have that ability. And our families that are working 2, 3, 4 jobs to keep food on the table. So I'm just so proud to be here with you all today to do this work. I will be a champion with you, alongside you, until we get these bills over the finish line. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Assemblymember Wicks. We really appreciate all the work that you're doing to support children and families in our community. I'm here today my name is Jennifer Greppy, and I'm with Parent Voices California. And I am excited today to be able to introduce to you Assemblywoman Eloise Gomez Reyes, one of my very favorite people. She represents the 47th Assembly District, and she is the first Latina majority leader. Woo whoop. And it's just such an exciting time because Assemblymember Gomez Reyes has always been one to really listen to the needs of what families need, right? And how exciting it is when you have a member who really takes what's happening on the ground with family and creates policies that can really help and support them. And so it's my honor to hear her speak today. And right after the Assemblywoman speaks, we're going to be hearing from Caitlin Hudson, who is a mom who is so grateful to not be having to pay childcare family fees right now. And she is a mom of 2 living in Novato. And so Assemblymember Gomez Reyes, the floor is yours.
Jennifer, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with you and with all of my colleagues, especially those from the California Women's Caucus. I want to also start by thanking our chair, the Princess Chair Garcia, and our vice chair, Nancy Skinner, for their tireless work this past year, especially the work to increase women's equity in the workplace and to protect the health of mothers and women and families. I also want to thank our former chair and vice chair, Senator Leyva, Assemblymember Limon, and my dear friend, Assemblymember Buffy Wicks. And to you, Jennifer, and to all the advocates on the call, I want to thank you. It's your tireless work on behalf of women's rights and economic security that has really made a difference. I think if you really look at this, it's your efforts that have helped women across the state to achieve fair pay, workplace justice, economic security, and equal access to opportunity. I'm really excited to continue this partnership with you this year as we continue the fight for policies that empower women in California. We know that this pandemic has deeply impacted women, and especially women of color. I think the Princess, our chair, talked about this, that women have experienced a higher unemployment rate, 25% compared to 20% for men. Women also tend to be the primary caregivers for their families. 41% say mothers provide the majority of extra child care responsibilities compared to just 15% who say the father does. And Black and Latina women continue to face the high rates of unemployment, even as overall unemployment rates have dropped. I think if we want to help California women get back to the workforce, we need to start by increasing access to childcare. And we've been working really hard on this. It's clear, and I think that you'll all agree, the research, and especially I'll mention the research from the National Women's Law Center, which shows that expanding access to childcare will improve employment rates. Is that a surprise? Of course not. It's also going to narrow the wage gap and increase women's lifetime earnings, especially for women of color. So last year, together, I know that I introduced AB 92, but it was a labor of love, and so many of you were involved in it. AB 92 is the Affordable Child Care Family Fees Act, and it was used to address the issue head on about child care fees. AB 92 is going to alleviate the burden that families face in paying for child care by creating an equitable sliding scale for family fees. So as we know, child care fees are unaffordable for so many of our working parents, and we have to fix this. AB 92 is also going to waive these fees through October of 2023 so the families can financially recover from this pandemic. And so with the help of advocates like Parent Voices, the Child Care Law Center, Child Care Resource and Referral Center, and the American Association of University Women, we were able to get the family fees waived through June of 2022 in last year's budget. I tell the governor that whenever he sees something good in some of our bills, he takes it and put it in trailer bill language and puts it in the budget. We love it. We love it. But June is just around the corner, and families need relief beyond this summer. So by increasing the affordability of childcare for working families, AB 92 is going to help women remain in the workforce and achieve economic stability. A stronger California starts with equitable childcare as a system. It starts with valuing the work of our childcare workers. It starts with helping our families afford the quality childcare they need and deserve. Honestly, I look forward to working with all of you this year so we can achieve all of these goals. Thank you so much for this invitation.
Thank you, Assembly Member Gomez Reyes. Hi, my name is Caitlin and I live in Novato. I have a 7-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. I am a part of Parent Voices in Marin County. When I was told I did not have to pay my family fee until July 2022, I was so thrilled and was finally able to enroll myself into the spring semester of community college, which is something I have dreamed about for a long time. Freezing family fees allowed me to dream big and finally enroll. It was great knowing I had just a little extra money each month to pay for the extra cost of school supplies and transportation to class. I also enrolled my daughter into gymnastics. She has always wanted to join, but the costs have always been too much for us to afford. I will love watching her trumbo and be a part of a team. As a parent, these are the moments we hope for, the moments we dream about, providing for our kids. I was also able to increase the number of hours that my 1-year-old goes to childcare. Waiving family fees allowed me to use full-time care without increasing my monthly fee. Prior to the fees being waived, I could only afford the part-time fee, even though I really needed full-time care. When moms have access to no-cost childcare, we are empowered to make better choices for our family. Let me share with you my budget and how that looks like each month. Just to show you how my family fees is essential to my family, because I bring home about $3,100 a month. Currently, I pay about $2,100 for my low income rent, leaving about $1,000 for the rest of my monthly expenses. My phone bill is $50 per month. My gas is about $180, and that's just transportation to and from work and to my children's schools. My food is about $300, and that is just not eating as healthy as I wish we could. My car bill is $200 because I finance monthly, and then my insurance is $130. My Comcast is $75, and that's only for Wi-Fi to ensure my daughter has access to her laptop for school. My PG&E bill is about $60 a month, and that is without using any heater in the winter. As you can see, this leaves me with about $5 at the end of the month and leaves no room for any emergencies or unexpected costs. I rely on high interest credit cards to keep the merry-go-round going. If I have to start paying my $374 family fee again, I will have to drop back to part-time care for my son, take my daughter out of gymnastics, and scramble to have enough to pay for the cost of staying in college for myself. After the last 2 years of distance learning, I don't want to take away the stability for my kids. I can feel my stress level rising just thinking about the family fees coming back, especially since the child tax credit that I was receiving stopped this month. This is why I'm asking the legislator and governor to extend the family fee waiver until 2023 and pass the AB 92 for long-term family fee reform and the state budget request to pay for it.
Thank you so much, Caitlin, for sharing your story and really just showing everyone how these policies that our amazing Legislative Women's Caucus leaders are leading affect real world lives and really can be life-changing. So we really appreciate you for sharing your story. And Assemblymember Reyes, your leadership on this and so many other issues is truly inspirational. I am going to now turn to our next speaker, who we are going to do a quick change of interpretation. So if you are an English speaker, you don't need to do anything but bear with us for one moment while our next speaker
en lo que
gets
nuestra
prepared.
siguiente oradora se prepara.
And so thank you so much. So our next speaker is Evelyn Alfaro.
Nuestra siguiente oradora se llama Evelyn Alfaro.
She is an amazing advocate with Mujeres Unidas y Activas and the California Domestic Workers Coalition.
Ella es una activa defensora con Mujeres Unidas y Activas y es también parte de la coalición de las trabajadoras del hogar.
And we are so proud to work with both of those coalitions as members of our Stronger California Network.
Y
And
estamos muy orgullosos de trabajar con esos dos miembros como miembros de la organización, la Coalición de California.
And so as you can tell for our audience members, this one portion of our event, there will be a consecutive interpretation. So you will hear both English and Spanish, and I will now turn it to Evelyn. Welcome, Evelyn.
Entonces, como pueden darse cuenta por nuestros participantes, los miembros de la presentación, por el momento ahora vamos a hacer interpretación consecutiva en inglés y en español, y les quiero presentar en este momento a Evelyn. Hola, Evelyn.
Hola, buenas tardes. Gracias, Jessica. Gracias,
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, Jessica.
gracias a Strong California por esta invitación. Como mencionó, mi nombre es Evelyn Alfaro. Y soy
So,
de
thank you very much to Stronger California for this invitation. And as I mentioned before, my name is Evelyn Alfaro.
Miembro de Mujeres Unidas y Activas y de la Coalición de Trabajadoras del Hogar de California. Y por supuesto, orgullosamente trabajadora del hogar.
I'm a member of Mujeres Unidas y Activas and the Domestic Workers Coalition in California. Of course, I'm a very proud domestic worker.
Para la coalición de trabajadoras del hogar de California, haber ganado nuestra campaña SB 321 ha sido algo muy esperanzador y vital.
So for the Domestic Workers Coalition to have been able to win our campaign, SB 321, has been something very vital and very hopeful.
Creemos firmemente en la dignidad de la industria del trabajo de hogar, por lo que agradecemos también a nuestra autora, la senadora María Elena Durazo.
We do believe firmly in the dignity of our industry about domestic workers, and that's why we are very grateful, and I want to thank their author, their founder, the Senador María Elena Durazo.
Realmente le estamos agradeciendo por haber introducido nuestra campaña y por su gran compromiso para que esta fuera un éxito.
We are truly grateful for having introduced our campaign and your commitment in order for this to be a success.
Como trabajadora del hogar por más de 11 años que soy, sé por experiencia propia de todos los peligros a los cuales nosotras, las trabajadoras del hogar, nos enfrentamos día a día.
As a domestic worker for more than 11 years, I know by own experience of all the dangers that we are exposed as domestic workers in our day-to-day job.
Imagínense tener que utilizar productos tóxicos y no contar con el equipo de protección básico en nuestros lugares de trabajo. Esto realmente es algo muy lamentable.
So you can imagine having to work with toxic products and not having the protective equipment that is basic in our places of work. This is really something very regretful.
También, como sabemos, en California nos enfrentamos a grandes incendios en donde las trabajadoras del hogar estamos expuestas a todo el humo y la contaminación.
Also, as we already know, in California, we are facing huge fires where the domestic workers are exposed to all the smoke and the contamination because as employees,
ya que los empleadores se van por su seguridad de sus casas y en algunos casos las trabajadoras del hogar han tenido que quedarse hasta el último minuto para limpiar y sin contar también con equipo de protección.
And it's because the employers sometimes, because of security, they had to leave their houses. And in many cases, it was the domestic workers that remain in the place in order, even to the very last minute, in order to clean up and to have all the protection equipment.
Por si fuera poco, como todos sabemos, hace casi ya 2 años que estamos en esta situación del COVID y se remarcó grandemente la inseguridad y la desigualdad en la industria del trabajo de hogar.
As what is more, it's been almost 2 years that we are facing this situation about COVID that is framing the insecurity and inequality in our work industry because we don't have this protective basic equipment and health.
Exactamente, por no contar con el equipo de protecciones básicas de salud y seguridad para nosotras las trabajadoras esenciales que somos.
And this is exactly that we don't have the basic protection for our health and security. And this is essential for the domestic workers.
Haber ganado SB 321 es un paso a lo que nosotras merecemos como trabajadoras del hogar. Es la valorización y el reconocimiento del trabajo de hogar.
Having obtained SB 321 is one step towards what we deserve as domestic workers. That is to be valued, to be recognized of this domestic work.
Esta ley permitirá crear un comité asesor, el cual estará formado por partes iguales de personas como trabajadoras del hogar, empleadores y expertos en salud ocupacional.
This new law, this new bill, will allow to create a consulting committee which will be conformed by equal parts of domestic workers, employers, and experts in occupational health.
Este comité creará las guías o pautas de salud y seguridad para nuestra industria, lo cual nos permitirá volver el próximo año con más fuerza y exigir que estas guías se hagan ley.
This committee will create the guidelines and the notes about health and security for our industry, which will allow to come back next year and request that these guidelines be a law.
Como trabajadora del hogar, me siento tan orgullosa de ser parte de la coalición y ver que esta victoria no hemos parado.
As a domestic worker, I feel so proud of being part of the coalition and to notice with our victory, we haven't stopped.
Ya que en San Francisco también ganamos una ordenanza de acceso a tiempo de enfermedad pagado para las trabajadoras del hogar. Esta ley es la primera de este tipo en California.
Because in San Francisco, we won the ruling to have access to sick time that is paid, and that's for the domestic workers. This new law is the very first of its kind in California.
Realmente quiero expresar mi agradecimiento especial a Strong California, ya que ser parte de esta coalición ha sido tan importante para ganar nuestra legislación.
I would really like to express our thanks, especially to Stronger California, because being part of this coalition has been for me very important in order to win this new legislation.
Esperamos continuar trabajando con Strong California en nuestra lucha para la dignidad en el lugar de trabajo para todas las trabajadoras del hogar.
We are very hopeful and we expect to continue working with Stronger California in this our fight for the dignity in the job site for the domestic workers.
Y para finalizar, quisiera agradecer con mucho amor a todos los presentes, a todas las miembros, a todas las organizadoras y el personal de cada una de las organizaciones que forman parte de la coalición por el compromiso y el amor que tienen en seguir alzando sus voces y luchar por más equidad para las trabajadoras del hogar junto a Strong California.
To end, I would like to thank wholeheartedly with all my love to all the members, organizers, all the staff, each one of the organizations that are part of the coalition, and with all my love and with all the commitment, we're gonna continue elevating our voice and fighting for more equity with the domestic workers, along with a stronger California.
Gracias nuevamente, un honor, un placer de estar aquí y vamos por más el próximo año para hacer dignidad en la industria del trabajo de hogar. Muchas
So
gracias.
again, thank you so much. It's an honor, it's a pleasure to be here and with dignity in our domestic industry. We're gonna be working, we will continue working. Thank you.
Gracias, Evelyn. My name is Cynthia Castillo, and I'm a policy advocate at the Western Center on Law and Poverty. For over 5 decades, Western Center has advocated on behalf of Californians experiencing poverty through the lens of economic and racial justice. And we are a proud member of the Stronger California Advocates Network. Western Center was also a proud co-sponsor of SB 62, the Garment Worker Protection Act, which was a priority of Stronger California and the Legislative Women's Caucus. It was authored by the incomparable and passionate Senator Maria Elena Durazo, who led the fight for 2 years. However, this victory also could not have happened without the workers themselves who organized and fought for its passage, literally calling into the legislative hearings from the garment factories where they were working. I'm honored now to introduce one of those people, Teresa Garcia, with the Garment Worker Center, to speak more about this important win. Thank you.
Sí, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Teresa García. Soy costurera por más de 33 años.
My name is Teresa Garcia.
El mal pago por pieza de los costureros es muy poquito, la cual luchamos por SB 62. Los costureros queremos que nos paguen por hora o por semana, que haya igualdad en todos los trabajos.
So my name is Teresa Garcia. I am a dressmaker for 33 years. The payment, the paid for the tailors and dressmakers was the reason why we were fighting for SB 62. The dressmakers, we want to be paid by the hour. We want equality, that we need to be paid as other industries are paid.
Sí, queremos también ganar un sueldo mínimo, un pago por semana, porque la verdad lo que ganamos es muy poco para poder sobrevivir.
So we want to have a minimum salary. We want to be paid weekly because it's not enough to survive what we are paid now.
Sí, es por eso que luchamos y nos unimos para ganar por SB 62 y hicimos mucho trabajo para ganar esta ley, para que nos hiciera caso las marcas, las compañías, pues queremos ganar un poquito más.
So that's why we were fighting united in order to win SB 62. We want to work to get that law finished because we want to be listened by the factories, by the commercial brands, by the firms, because we are paid very little.
Es por eso que pues les estamos dando las gracias por el apoyo de todos ustedes, por el gobernador, especialmente al Centro de Trabajadores de Costura, por apoyarnos, por ayudarnos y pues gracias a California más fuerte.
That's why we are very grateful for your support. We want to acknowledge the governor. We want to acknowledge the Center of Dressmaker Workers for all your support, and also to the organization Strong California. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Muchas gracias por sus comentarios. We are so proud to have supported your amazing work, you and all of the other Garment Worker Center members and leaders that helped to make this victory possible. So thank you in the passage of the Garment Worker Protection Act. I just want to note that we are back to Spanish interpretation for those who need interpretation to Spanish. You can click the globe at the bottom. For everyone who doesn't, you don't need to do anything. And now I'm going to turn it over to my amazing partner in crime and colleague, Mariko Yoshihara.
Thanks, Jessica. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mariko Yoshihara, and I'm the Legislative Counsel and Policy Director for the California Employment Lawyers Association. I just feel so inspired being here with all of you, and this is just exactly what I needed to hear and be a part of to kick off this new year. We are another proud founding member of the Stronger California Advocates Network, and we also help lead the network's Fair Pay Pillar. And tonight I have the great honor of introducing our next speaker, Senator Connie Leyva. Since 2014, Senator Leyva has represented the 20th Senate District, and during that time, she has been a tireless advocate for working families in this state. She has brought about critical policy reform ranging from ensuring domestic workers receive overtime pay to strengthening enforcement for wage theft violations. And most recently, we have the great privilege of working with her on the Silence No More Act, which banned secret settlements and expanded NDA protections for workers who have experienced any form of discrimination or harassment. Senator Leyva, we're so proud to have partnered with you on so many of these efforts, and I will turn it to you.
Thank you, Mariko. I'm so happy to be here with Stronger California. You guys, you ladies are just amazing. And to hear all these stories from the workers, especially the garment workers, is just so heartwarming. And what I love about working with Stronger California is that it's only bills that are really changing lives that you all work on. SB 331, the Silence No More Act, I love that bill. They told me when I first got elected, you're not supposed to fall in love with your bills. And I said, oh, too late. I mean, if you don't fall in love with your bills, how are you going to advocate for them? And I have to thank Equal Rights Advocates, California Employment Lawyers Association, and of course, Earthseed, which is actually Ifeoma Ozoma, who without her, we would not even be here. We would not have even had the idea to do the bill. It's unfortunate that she had to go through what she had to go through in order for us to do this, but she's a true hero because now she has really helped us to pave the way for less discrimination in the workforce going forward. So I'm very excited about that bill, very excited about partnering with everyone. I thank the governor for signing it into law. And I look forward to what we're going to do this year. What new exciting bills are we going to work on and make the world a little bit better place? So thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak. And I look forward to when we get to gather in person again. But until then, we have Zoom.
Thank you so much, Senator Leyva. It has been such an honor and privilege to work with you for many years on a number of bills. It's amazing to see you also with the domestic worker leaders because of your leadership in that area to ensure overtime pay for domestic workers and a lot of other priorities that we've had over the years. So thank you for your amazing work and leadership. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce our final Legislative Women's Caucus speaker. She is Senator Monique Limon. She is a former chair and vice chair of the caucus. We worked with her when she was in the Assembly. We are partnering with her now that she's in the Senate. She represents the 19th Senate District. And we have had the honor of prioritizing several of her bills in the past, including a really important predatory lending bill that addressed horrific predatory lending practices that kept workers and others across the state in cycles of debt, which we know predominantly harms communities of color and women of color. So we are so proud to be able to partner with you on a number of these issues. I wanted to just note that the kind of fair pay and equal pay fight that we have been leading from our Stronger California Coalition since our founding has been really critical aspect of our work. We know that women, people of color continue to face equal pay issues. And I'm really excited to introduce Senator Limon, who is focused on this and many other important issues that we prioritize. So Senator Limon, it's an honor to introduce you, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. And I do just want to take a little bit of a moment. As some of you know, our former leader of the Women's Caucus, Connie Lave, is leaving us at the end of this year. So I just want to take a moment to recognize how much she has done for women and for the state, and let her know and let all of you know that we're really going to miss her. So this is the year, the next few months, to take advantage of working with one of our really awesome leaders here in the state. And as for me, there's a few issues that a lot of you have stood by me and continue to stand by me when. This year, I'm looking at continuing to focus on policies to move California families forward, including legislation on childcare and equal pay. Some of you know that I am a mother of a 15-month-old, so I have a lot to say about childcare. It's in my blood in the moment, right? In terms of what families and mothers and parents are dealing with when it comes to the limited childcare options that all of us have in all 58 counties of the state. It's not only critical to getting women back into the workforce, but it also supports really women remaining employed in the workforce. So I think that is very, very important. We're looking at a bill that will reduce barriers to childcare for families and providers by streamlining and expanding eligibility for the state preschool program. I still don't get it. Why do you have to fill out so many forms if they all mean you qualify for the same subsidy? Why are we making it harder for families? Additionally, an area that the Legislative Women's Caucus is focused on is equal pay. And there's still a lot of work to do on closing the gap. I hope some of you have had the chance to look at the recent report that came out about after the equal pay to understand where the gaps are in our state. California women in 2020 lost $46 billion due to the gender pay gap, and people of color in the state lost $61 billion due to the race pay gap. So a majority of that really is about wage discrimination and the fact that there are many wage disparities hidden from the public that they're not aware of. So we have to find a way to increase pay and specifically pay transparency in order to close the gender and the racial wage gap, which prevents women, particularly women of color, from achieving economic security. So change in this area will empower women as we negotiate salary. And I know other states like Colorado just passed some legislation around this. And so I think that, California wants to be able to do what's right to close that pay gap for women and, really people of color. So I look forward to continuing to work with Stronger California to achieve those two goals on childcare and pay equity.
Thank you so much, Senator Limon. We are very excited to continue our strong advocacy in the pay equity realm, childcare, and all the other issues that everyone has been hearing about. And we know so many of the people who are listening right now have supported these incredible policies led by these incredible women, as well as other legislative leaders. So I wanted to just give a thank you to all the attendees who have supported these bills, who have called into hearings, who have sent in support letters, who have showed up on social media. So thank you. And thank you, Senator Limon. We look forward to working with you on these priorities. So we want to close it out with, we've heard about not only our wins from the 2021 Stronger California Advocates Network agenda, but also some of the priorities that are emerging for this year. So I'm going to have our colleague bring up our final slide to show you how you can get involved with Stronger California if you are not already, and stay tuned to all of our priorities that will be coming up. So we will be announcing the launch of our 2022 legislative agenda within the next month, and hope that you will support all of our priorities for women and families and people across genders. The website for strongercalifornia.org is up there. You can check out all of our past and present legislative agendas and sign up for updates, and also look for events to join us in our community building and power building events to support these important policies. And if you have additional questions, or your organization wants to become a Stronger California member, you can feel free to reach out to me via email. My email is there. And I just want to highlight that in addition to some of the really incredible policies that are emerging that you heard about this year that will be likely prioritized by our coalition, we also want to uplift that supplemental paid sick leave is even more critical than ever, given the COVID-19 crisis that we know so many workers are still facing. And I want to just close this event by echoing something that Noreen mentioned when we first got started tonight, which is that COVID-19 has presented such a moment where, very much like the moment where we founded Stronger California, with a real mandate to transform our work, our care infrastructures, and our other kind of societal structures that allow women and others who are caring for our families and our economy to thrive. So just like we highlighted our collective power when Stronger California started, we are going to demonstrate that power now. We're going to continue to show that power with our partners, with all of these really and truly inspirational legislators that you've heard from, and our other legislative champions and supporters, and all of you who support these incredible efforts. And we really just won't stop until we've lifted up every Californian who needs us. So it's 2022. Here we come. Watch out, and please join us as we continue our advocacy for women and families and workers across the state. Thank you so much for joining, and please stay tuned for more to come this year and beyond. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.